Okay, yeah, I think we are on. Let's see.
We are live. I can see the top clock ticking.
Yeah, here we are. PulseChain builders. Yep, that's right. Okay, so maybe we can like chit chat a little bit. Hopefully there's more viewers coming up. Then we will get started. Yeah, so a pleasure, Noon, to have you.
Just before we keep going, mate, I think you might have YouTube running in the background as well.
Yeah, I do. Do you see it?
We're just getting a bit of an echo there. That's all. Yeah, I think we're good to go. We might have a real bad delay, but we'll see what's going on.
Yeah, I think maybe on YouTube it delays a bit, probably.
Okay, got it. I know what's going on. Sorry, that was on my end, mate. For some reason, I had 2 YouTube streams running. We're all good. Sorry, we're good to go now. Sorry about that.
Yeah. All right. So, let's get started?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, good afternoon, everybody. I think it's in my time zone. It's afternoon right now. So this is my very first live stream as an AsianOnPulse. So I personally been committed to onboard as many people as possible from the APAC region, and especially from the Web2 people, the non-coiners, into PulseChain, because I truly believe that this ecosystem is really built for like long-term growth and real adoption. So today is very special because we are not just talking about PulseChain alone, but we are also talking about one of the important pillars of a proof of stake and related to staking, like where Hex got started. So with me, I have none other than founder of VOUCH.RUN, Jexxa, right, to be on board with me. So it's truly my pleasure to have him on board for my first live stream guest. Yeah. So Vouch is actually one of the very first liquid staking protocols on PulseChain. So because before we really got into Vouch, I think people would like to know more about Jexxa, like what is your crypto journey and what is your perspective on Ethereum and PulseChain, and most importantly, why building here matters for the future of Web3 and not other chains, right? So for audiences, welcome to our stream. We are happy to have you. So stick around until the end because I would say that it's going to be a very insightful live stream in this episode. Yeah, so let's see. Here we are. So first of all,
yeah,
I think, yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Can do a
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Yep. Honored to be your first guest on a live stream. Yeah, so a little bit about my background. I won't sort of bore you too much with that because a few people have probably heard that before, but the long and the short of it is been in crypto since around 2016, 2017, that sort of era. Came in the same way most people do, where they hit Bitcoin first of all and then start to venture out into Ethereum and other sorts of things. And back in the day, there was a lot of the like Neo and a few of those sorts of things were the sort of competitors to Ethereum. So back from those sorts of days. So I've had the chance to sort of see the space evolve over the last few years and see ETH grow into the behemoth it is, which has been interesting to watch. But just seeing crypto go from what was a handful of altcoins to now millions. Last time I checked on CoinMarketCap, it was around 2.5 million altcoins, and I know that's not even touching the surface of how many there really are. So yeah, it's just been this massive explosion over the course of that time since I've been in the space. My background is technical in nature, so I worked in the IT industry as a systems and network engineer, and primarily focused on the security side of things. So went and got all the certifications that go along with being a security engineer, network security engineer specifically, and done that for a decade or so, and then went off into the world of running my own business and doing property development. And then that was at that point when I got introduced to cryptocurrency, and someone talked about this thing called Ethereum, and it sort of really gelled with me from a technical perspective. I understood the tech side of it as soon as I had a chance to dig into it, and the financial side of it was pretty special for me. Like the fact that we got to build an alternate financial system was the real draw card for me getting into the space. That seemed quite novel and very much needed.
Wow. Okay. So, like you got started like back in 2016. So, I think that was the early days of Ethereum as well, right? Like when you just done its ICO.
Yeah, I wasn't around for the ICO days. I think that was 2015, I believe. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah. So it's like right after that. Cool.
Yeah. So it was. Yeah. So when I got into Ethereum, it was a proof of work network. Obviously, that's only just changed recently. It was very rudimentary. There was no, like, the DeFi protocols didn't really exist on it. There was no Uniswap. It was still, it was very much in its infancy, and people were still trying to figure out what this tech could do. And I know there was a lot of people talking about online voting, still trying to use the blockchain for online voting, online identity, and things like that. So everyone was still sort of trying to find out what the tech could be used for and what its real market fit was, I guess. And we're probably still trying to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we are still a growing ecosystem, right? There are still tons of people that don't really know about like what blockchain tech could really do, but eventually we'll get there. I think right now the environment globally is pushing this industry to grow, right? Like a lot of we have seen a lot of public listed companies or private companies, they are actually allocating some of their funds to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, right, as a reserve. So and for the place that I've been around in Asia, whether it's Thailand, whether it's Singapore, Malaysia, Taiwan, right, all the universities right now, they have their own blockchain clubs, and they do have some blockchain courses as well, right? So for the youngsters, they are actually also looking for jobs in Web3 companies, and also looking for more opportunities in this growing industry, right? So eventually, with this movement that we are all contributing as a whole, I think we'll definitely grow for the whole MCAP to grow. But just now I did heard you saying that back then there was only 2.5 million market cap. Was that right? For the altcoins?
No, that wasn't market cap. There was only a handful of altcoins. So you could literally see them on you could literally see them on one or two pages of Coin Market Cap. And
that's right.
And even before then. But now you go to Coin Market Cap, and there's probably more than 3 million listed on there by now. It just goes up exponentially at the moment.
Awesome.
It's interesting you talk about the blockchain clubs at universities, and I still think this is how far we are away from people really understanding what crypto is and what we're trying to achieve. You go to high schools these days, and they don't even talk about blockchain, or more importantly, they don't talk about the financial impacts of blockchain and what it's trying to solve. Because I think that is the killer app for blockchain. Is I think we can all realize that the current financial system, the way it's constructed, is obviously geared to an elite group of people that are close to the creation of the money. And if we can have a technology that democratizes that, which I think that's what crypto is, that's a pretty big deal. And I think we're just so far away from that being taught in schools or people understanding the ramifications of this technology, we've got a long way to go from that point of view.
Yeah, definitely. That's why for my point of view, my 2 cents, I think the crypto market cap is still very small. So that's like huge room for improvement. So for us being the early movers of a new chain, a new cycle on pulse chain opportunities like this is truly amazing, right? I personally got into like deep dive into crypto was because of hacks. So hacks literally changed my life. Yeah. So I was like in my mid-20s last cycle, and I got into hacks in day one. And what happens in 2 years was crazy. So it's really amazing. And that's why I've been doing a lot of understanding, improving myself to know more about the Web3 industry. And I've been like joining a lot of making new friends and all. Yeah. So for my experience in the for the past three years walking around like the crypto spaces, a lot of people actually don't know about hacks and pulse chain. Yeah, in where I go, like the APAC region. So yeah, but right now they seem to know a little bit more right now. Yeah, so I think that's a progress. Yeah, and also for my recent trip to Taipei a few weeks ago, I actually met a Christian from Liquid Loans. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I met him in person. I was wearing a pulse chain shirt. Yeah, so I go and walk up to him. I say, "Hey, nice to meet you here."
Yeah, no, I know they've been out doing the tour and all the major events and things like that, and talking about pulse chain. And you're right. It's funny. You can think everyone's just trying to gatekeep pulse chain, because we hear, like, when you're on Twitter and you're in amongst all the stuff that's going on Twitter, it's the same group of people. But I can speak to people that have been in crypto for a long time, but they don't get on X or Twitter. They don't care to be on social media. And when you talk about, you say, "Oh, do you know about pulse chain?" They go, "No, I've never heard of it." They hold Bitcoin, they hold Ethereum, they hold other things, but they've just actually never heard of pulse chain. So not only is there there's people that are involved in crypto that don't know about this chain or this network yet, but then there's also the broader people, which is obviously what Richard's trying to reach out to with the tablets and things that are going out as part of that marketing campaign. It's to sort of break through the crowd that do know about you and push outside of that to try and reach a new audience. I think that's really important. That's where you need to spend your time, is educating people that are totally new to the space. If you want to make change and you want to bring about a new financial tool, you've got to make people aware of it. So yeah, I think that marketing campaign, I think it's going to be successful, and it's going to reach a lot of eyeballs.
Okay, cool. Oh, well, so right. So now that we have understood each other a little bit more, then I think that we can get to one of the key topics today, like Vouch, right? So before Vouch, before Pulse Chain, I think one of the earliest is definitely probably Ethereum, right? Having the validators, the proof of stake, allow people to set up their own validators and earn APR from there, right? But what was the challenges on Ethereum during its early days? Because if I'm not mistaken, it started off as a proof of work, and then only then they upgraded to like proof of stake.
Yeah. And I'm not opposed to proof of work per se, and I think on Bitcoin it makes sense that it's proof of work. Like, it's not a fast moving network, so block times are quite slow. You got 10-minute block times. They're trying to be that, I guess, sound hard money sort of infrastructure. So it tends to work well in that fashion, but it still does, like, in the end, you end up with centralization, whether it's proof of work or proof of stake. You are going to end up with some level of centralization, because the miner, to be a successful miner on Bitcoin now, it's very hard to just fire up your home miner and be successful. The days of that are long gone. Now it's quite technical in nature. They've got literally farms of liquid cooled hardware, trying to pump out as much terahash as they can, or petahash, whatever they're up to these days, trying to just churn through the processing so they can win these blocks. So the average person, they just can't compete other than direct their miners to pools, which is sort of pseudo centralized, not quite as bad as just having one or two miners, but that's it really comes down to the same thing. Financial energy, if you've got unlimited firepower financial wise, you can fire up all the miners in the world you like. So proof of stake, I guess it removes all that wasted power that goes into proof of work, and I'll put wasted in air quotes because it's not truly wasted. It's capturing a value there. But on the proof of stake side, I think for what Ethereum was trying to achieve, so much faster blocks, much wider scale, much more decentralization in terms of the validators, the proof of stake made sense. And I think they've proven that you can get the same level of security as Bitcoin has using a proof of stake network. Ethereum's never had any consensus issues. So yeah, I think that's been a massive success. In terms of hurdles along the way, that's been a very long road to get from proof of work to proof of stake. And they had to do it in a few stages. So they went from proof of work to sort of like and we still are in this sort of in this phase where we're sort of like running two chains. We've still got an execution layer, and then we've got the beacon layer. So when you run an Ethereum client or a PulseChain client, you actually run two clients because the network still hasn't sort of consolidated into one network. So yeah, I guess they've had to have all those challenges along the way where they had to scale into that, and people were locking their funds for, I think, 2 or 3 years. People staked on Ethereum and couldn't access their ETH. So yeah, I guess that in terms of hurdles and things they went through, yeah, that was a big undertaking to move from proof of work to proof of stake. Pretty lucky in PulseChain, we got the nice end of that where they had finalised the ability to be able to remove your stakes and things like that before we launched. So that was a big win for PulseChain launching with those features.
That's why Richard said Ethereum is the testnet.
Yeah,
allowing us to come up with like a matured and stable product. Yeah.
Yeah, I think PulseChain's probably 1 or 2 updates behind Ethereum currently. And look, it would be nice to see some of those updates come across. But I keep going back to, like, at the moment, for this, and in particular for this cycle, we've got everything we need to have a successful chain. And what we determine as successful varies. So the fact that we've got all the validators up and running, we've got a solid network that hasn't been offline. Other people's measure of success is how much it goes up in value over this cycle. So you can measure success in a few different ways. But I think technically we've got everything we need for it to be able to go up in value. Heaps of protocols have launched on PulseChain. So from that aspect, we're good to go. And then maybe in the off season, so after we have a big rally and hopefully the price has gone up, everyone's really happy, and we go into the next bear market, that's when we can start focusing on, okay, well, let's do more upgrades and let's do things like this where you can do that in a more controlled fashion without the heat of the market behind you.
Sounds good. That's very insightful, standing from a point of your POV as a founder of Vouch, right, Jexxa? So here's a question, right? Like, there's so many chains out there, and where do you think PulseChain rank in terms of the validators?
It's hard to say because they all run different sort of systems, but I think like PulseChain in and of itself, like 52,000 validators distributed between. There's obviously a few staking protocols which run a few of the validators on the network. There's some large individual solo validators. And I was looking at the stats the other day, and there's quite a few people that are running like 1,000 validators each. So it is quite distributed around. And I think over time that will get more and more so, especially if we start to see some good inflows and some more adoption and people investing, willing to bring more dollar value over to the chain, then more people will fire up validators to support that for sure. But in terms of like from a grassroots community-based chain, I think we're punching above our weight. That's for sure. There's some pretty heavy VC-based chains, and the volume on PulseChain exceeds those. I think even Cardano. I think we give Cardano a run for on-chain volume, which is just insane given how long they've been around and the money that's been injected into that sort of chain. We haven't even touched the edge of, like, we're very much a fringe chain in terms of no major listings, probably seen as the black sheep of crypto to some degree, which is probably what attracts me to wanting to be part of PulseChain. Is we don't have the VCs as part of the buy into the chain, and everyone's been able to come across and contribute their time, skills, and energy in various different ways to build it up from the grassroots. So I think that's in terms of what makes PulseChain different. That to me, that's the thing that makes it different. It's got that, and although I wasn't around for the early days of Bitcoin, I imagine that's what it felt like, where it was very much the community chipping in and doing all the work, and probably in the face of a lot of deniers and haters that said it was never going to be anything or do anything. Yeah, rejection. Yeah. So I think that's the victory is going to be so much sweeter if, as a grassroots community, you can pull this off.
Cool. I mean, this is what we say, organic growth, right? It's been what I've been sharing to my fellow friends also, the non-coiners. So I've been telling them Bitcoin got to where it is today because of the organic growth of the community, like from the grassroots. Every single one of them, like majority of them, decides and to contribute in their own ways. Eventually, this thing is going to work, right? So this is the kind of value that I see in PulseChain and also in Hex. And that is exactly what inspires me to be cooking up more and more exposures and content and speaking on behalf of PulseChain, right? So, I mean, I'm just doing my part as a community, and I really want this to grow and to be known among the APAC region. So I'm sure if you have seen my recent post, I did repost on a centralized exchange that actually integrated PulseChain and listed. So that was also a fellow resources that we met throughout the crypto events, and when they heard about PulseChain from me, they're saying that it has a huge potential, and they wanted to be a part of it. Yeah, and aside from that, I also helped onboard a few prediction markets. One prediction market is called Foresight, and also upcomingly there's a decentralized social wallet called BuzzUp. So these are the platforms that has existing APAC user base, right? So when they integrated, we are gonna get into the eye of many, right? To get PulseChain into the eye of many. Yeah, so this is one thing we are committed to do.
Yeah, just to be clear, are they things that are coming soon or things that have integrated?
Yeah.
So they're the projects you just mentioned, have they already integrated with PulseChain, or they're in the process of doing that?
For Foresight is already integrated on PulseChain. And then for there's a decentralized social wallet is known as BuzzUp, right? It's founded by a Hong Kong company, and their user base is everywhere across Asia. So they have also integrated PulseChain.
Awesome. Yeah. So I didn't even know all that stuff has happened. So yeah, kudos to you for getting out there and getting the word out there for that. I mean,
every phase, right? There's a technical development phase. So after the tech part integration is done, then we go into like shout out phase to let people know about it. So we're pretty much like in this middle right now. So that's why a lot of people have not heard about it, but you hear it from me now.
Yeah, we'll have to get some links out there so more people can hear about it.
That's right. So it's about the builders, like or the community, we work together to like an echo chamber, right? To let more people know about us. Yeah. So this was what MacB told me about yesterday. I had a online meeting with him yesterday to discuss about upcoming what we could be cooking on the Pulse Asian show, right? To let more people know about us. Yeah. So okay. Aside from that, right? Before the stream, I just now did actually ask you. So when did you first heard of like virtual heart hacks first? Yeah.
I said this on another stream before where I didn't actually catch a lot of Richard's early videos. Like I've seen a few of them where he had the long hair and things like that, but I wasn't sort of really watching a lot of that content. I probably wish I was, because there was some really insightful stuff that he was talking about back there. But for me, I don't even remember how I done it, but I just somehow managed to stumble across him talking about releasing a token, and it was called Bitcoin Hex at the time, and I knew one of the early guys that was working with Richard, and they eventually went their own separate ways. But it was enough for me just to go, okay, I'm just going to, this thing's over here building in the background. I'm just going to check in every now and then and see what they're up to. And I think that was like a 2-year process or something. I'd just keep checking in. And it was always, the running joke was 2 more months or something like that. And I just keep, I just keep checking in. And then I was lucky enough to catch the very first day. I made sure that I participated in the first day, and I'd been burnt that many times in crypto, so I didn't go all in at the beginning of Hex. Just inched my way in. I think a lot of people got crushed on the first day. Everyone sort of loaded up, and that turned out being one of the worst days to go in there. You had to wait another 6 months for an entry for that to catch up. So I was lucky. I got in very early and got in AA in some of the crazy days where I can't even remember how much Hex you were getting for your Ether back then, but it was, there's some crazy days back there. So I was lucky to participate all of that and just kept chipping away the whole time in the AA. And look, it went really well for Hex that last cycle. And I'd like to think we can repeat something similar. So I've been around for the long haul. Yeah,
that's what we are hodling for it to come into reality, right? We manifest every day. So anyway, okay. So thank you for sharing on that part. Yeah. So there are so many layer 1s and layer 2s, right? And also some of them are layer 3s. So I think this is mainly for the audience, because I would say that many of our community members from the APAC region, they don't really know about too much into blockchain, and then they sometimes get confused. Why are they layer 1s? Why are they layer 2s? Why are they layer 3s? What differs them? Right? So maybe Jexxa, do you mind to enlighten on this topic?
On layer 1s versus layer 2s?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So layer 1s typically form the foundation of your blockchain, and we mentioned on Bitcoin, it runs very slow. So every block, every 10 minutes, and I can't remember what their transactions per second are. I think it's something like 7 transactions per second or something, I think it works out to. So that obviously can become a limiting factor if you've got a lot of people trying to use the network. There's just enough capacity to be able to handle all the transactions. So I guess the analogy would be, imagine everyone trying to use their Visa card, but it could only process 7 transactions a second. Like you'd never be able to get your transactions through if you've got worldwide adoption. So that's always the issue blockchains have, is that trilemma where you can sacrifice security to get more speed, and you've got to find that balance. And I think Ethereum's got a pretty good balance where they've managed to get the speed up a little bit. They've still got enough security in the network, and they've managed okay. But we've seen last cycle where they got to capacity, and the cost to transact on the network was expensive. Like just to do a send, a simple send could have been $25 to $30, which is just, it's not reasonable to spend that on a transaction. So that's why layer twos, and that's where layer twos were born, was okay, well, if we can keep that base layer, that layer one secure, and we just bolt on additional layers so that we can increase the capacity and they all talk back to the base layer, then maybe we can borrow the security of the base layer but have the speed, because we can have more essential additional layers for transactions on. And one of the things I didn't see coming, so I've seen a lot of new tokens get spun up, and in my mind I thought every company would have a token. There'd be a McDonald's token, there would be a Burger King token, like every company would end up having a token. And what I think it actually may being is every company will have a layer two. So they'll have a layer two that they can define the rules on and secure that part of the network themselves, but then talk back to the base layer. And I think that's what we're seeing play out on Ethereum now is, so Coinbase, they've got their layer two. Kraken, I believe their layer two is built on ETH as well, their Inc or whatever it is. And I think you'll see pretty much every exchange will end up having its own layer two. Now, what network they choose to piggyback on, that time will tell. But a lot of them seem to be picking Ethereum because you end up with this big interconnected ecosystem. Major teams, so not just exchanges, major teams are all launching their own layer two networks that back onto ETH as well. So I think that's going to be the big explosion, is all the layer twos will be either company-wide, and it could be even nation statewide. Like you may, if a country wants to run a stable coin, maybe it runs its own layer two blockchain. Maybe something like that happens, but that seems to be the way it's playing out.
But for now, I think for what I've seen on the news recently, and I think majority of them high likely would go to Ethereum first, right? Because when they want to launch a stable coin, they still want to seek for security.
So if you're a large player, you've got billions of dollars you need to manage, there's not too many places you can go in crypto. Bitcoin is one of them, because if you're going to bring liquidity into an ecosystem, you want to be able to get out. So there's only, if you're dealing with billions of dollars, there's not too many blockchains where you can bring that sort of volume in and not pretty much own the chain. Like you've got to be able to have somewhere where you've got the liquidity to move in and out. So Bitcoin was obviously one that satisfied that need currently, now it does. And so then when these institutions go, okay, well, great, we're in Bitcoin now and we like what's going on the rest of crypto, where can we go? They've got to pick places where there's really deep liquidity, and Ethereum's the next deepest liquidity in the space. So they can go play there and feel comfortable they can get their funds in and out. And over time, we'll see others pop up where larger players can come and feel comfortable playing in those ecosystems. But at the moment, Ethereum's probably that next place. So if you're a company that's going to launch their own blockchain, you want to be in a space where you can feel comfortable doing that, and the liquidity is deep enough, and Ethereum's that place. I think it's just going to grow.
Sounds good. Okay. Thanks for your sharing on that part. So what about let's get back to like the main topics of Vouch. Right? So for layman terms, I mean, I think I've seen this in your previous live stream recently with Crypto Coffee, right? So I think it's always good to be reminded of like what is Vouch really about, and then how people can easily participate in it. What are the key advantages compared to other liquid staking validators out there, or even on other chains, right? So for investment staking opportunities, and also, so maybe on that part, I think if you need to, I'm not sure how do I do this, but do you need to like share a screen or something?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's try and share a screen. We might as well put your live streaming skills to test, hey?
Yeah.
Let's just give me 1 second. I'll bring one up.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. We'll share this screen. Window. There we go. All right, see if you can bring that one up. And I'll jump forward a little bit because we've actually gone on a nice little journey here where we've talked about proof of work and proof of stake and the different layers and things like that. So let's sort of jump back to, I'll skip over some of this and we'll find a slide that is real basic. Sorry, this one here. So this one's probably a good place to sort of launch off from where we've just spoken about. So we mentioned that we've got these things called blockchains, and we said that we need someone to secure those blockchains, and it's either a bunch of computers that use proof of work, or in the case of PulseChain and Ethereum, we use something called validators, which are these little orange things we've got sitting out here. A validator, which is basically a computer that runs the clients that form the blockchain, essentially. So I said that Ethereum currently runs 2 clients. So if you're a person, you've got some tech knowledge and the hardware resources, you can fire up a validator, install these 2 bits of software and join the network, and you can start sort of processing transactions on the network. In order to do that, you need to bring not only your computer knowledge, but you've got to bring what we call is the stake. So this is the stake part of proof of stake. So in PulseChain, you need to have 32 million Pulse to put up as security, more or less, to put up as your stake, to say that you're participating in the network, and if you do something malicious, then you can get what we call slash, so you can lose some of your stake. So that's what you're doing. So you're bringing your tech knowledge and your proof of stake. And if you do that and you do the right thing, you're a good actor and you're securing the chain, then you get paid more Pulse every day. So you get 2 types of rewards. You get just the day-to-day rewards for participating in the blockchain. So for just doing the what we call consensus. So all agreeing that the blockchain ledger is true and accurate. So if you just participate in that consensus component, you get paid for doing that. But also if someone's out here, they're using their wallet and they're sending things on the network and paying a fee, so we call it the priority fee. What most people know it is the gas fee. So that's the price you pay if you want to send a transaction. So when people pay to send a transaction, if you're the validator that actually produces the block with those transactions in it, you get the priority fees. So that's sort of the role of validators in Ethereum and in PulseChain. They do it in the same way, but that's the whole proof of stake side of things.
Understood.
Yeah, so where we go one step further in Vouch is not everyone has the tech skills to be able to be this person, to be the validator. And in some cases, they don't have the 32 million Pulse to put up as the stake to be that validator. But they want to receive some of these rewards. They want their share of the yield that PulseChain can produce every day. So that's where the liquid staking side of things come into it. So not just not just Vouch, but there's a couple of others running on PulseChain as well. So you've got a few options there. But effectively, and I'll speak to Vouch's point of view because I know this one more intimately. The way it works with Vouch is rather than what we call a solo validator just coming along, and so that is a solo validator. That's a person just coming along and doing it themselves. That's what we call a solo validator. So rather than them bringing their 32 million Pulse, they bring 12 million Pulse to the table. They still bring their tech skills, but rather than put in the whole 32 million, they get a share of 20 million Pulse that other people, so average everyday Pulse holders, have deposited into Vouch. They put their Pulse in here, it makes a big pool of Pulse, and when you get this 12 million plus the extra 20 million, you combine it and stake it to fire up a validator with the required 32 million Pulse. And what that then means is the rewards that are getting produced by blockchain that are going to the validators gets shared between the validator and also the holder out here who's deposited their Pulse into Vouch. So that's the benefit of coming in to a liquid staking protocol, is you don't need the tech skills. You just need to bring your portion of the stake to the protocol, and the validators will grab that and put it to work, and you get to share in the rewards of that. What we do with where the actual liquid component comes in is, so you can imagine if you're a person sitting out here with Pulse in your wallet, you've got access to that liquidity. So you've got the Pulse in your wallet, you can do whatever you like with it. And typically the way staking used to work, and Hex is the same, is when you stake it, it gets locked and you lose access to it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That just depends on how the system's designed. But with liquid staking, what we do is if you deposit one Pulse in here, when the system first started up, you would have got what's known as one VPulse out. So that's the liquid staking token. So you've locked up your Pulse, but you've got the value of it still liquid in your wallet. That means you can go participate in providing liquidity and doing all the things you'd normally do with your Pulse, but you're doing it in what's sort of like a wrapped version of it. So this represents your stake that you've put into the Vouch ecosystem. So that's the liquid staking component side of things. And what happens is over time, the value of your VPulse goes up. So when you first put your one Pulse in and you got one VPulse out, that would have set the ratio at 1:1. But from that very first day the system was launched, that ratio changes every day. So if you put your one Pulse in and you got one VPulse back out at the beginning, and then you came back a year later and said, you know what, I want to redeem my VPulse. I don't want to hold it as VPulse anymore. I want to send it back into the system and get my Pulse out. Then you wouldn't just get your one Pulse out, you would probably get 1.3 Pulse out. So it's over time, the value of your VPulse has gone up relative to Pulse. So what that means is when you redeem it, you'll get more Pulse back out at the end. That's sort of how we build in how you account for the interest that you're earning, the APR. And the beauty of it is when you're doing it in that fashion, it's actually has a compounding effect, because you're not getting more Pulse out that you then need to deposit back in the system. The value's staying within the system, and it has this compounding effect, because any Pulse built up in here keeps getting picked up by more validators and put to work. So you don't have to worry about harvesting yield and compounding it. It's actually happening automatically in the background.
I see.
Yeah, so it's a nice little feature that you get by being in the liquid staking protocols. And you've still, like I said, you've still got access to that token and that liquidity that it brings, where you can go and participate in other protocols. We're already seeing a few protocols built around Vouch or integrating Vouch, and I think we're going to see a lot more of those as well.
So when I get the VPulse, it's a liquid token, right? So I can actually provide liquidity with it and earn some LP fees, reward fees. And at the same time, when VPulse price goes up, if I decide to sell a fraction of what I own, I can do that too, right? And then with the remaining VPulse, I'll be able to redeem from the Pulse vault, right? In a way.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you wanted to harvest some yield in the form of Pulse, exactly right, you would sell down a fraction of your VPulse, and that would give you you could essentially just get the extra Pulse that you've been earning over that time out and leave your original amount still in there working. So yeah, that's or you can, if you really want, you can just go sell some VPulse on a DEX as well and get Pulse or whatever else it is that you want. So that's the beauty of having the liquid component. You can leave it working there, getting more yield, but still do something with it, whether it's play on dexes or, like you said, provide liquidity.
Understood. Sounds cool. So that's pretty much how it works.
Yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. So that's liquid staking. Now, Vouch is obviously a little bit more than that, and we went to phase 2 of Vouch just recently, and I'm happy to talk about that if you want me to.
Yeah, feel free. We'd love to learn more about what you guys are doing. Right, it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
All right, so we'll go back to our original slide all the way back here. This one looks a bit complicated, but we'll work our way through it. So what I've just shown you here is the liquid staking component. So that whole system I just spoke about, where users deposit their pulse, get their VPulse, and the validators put it to work, that's essentially what this here represents. And if you're just doing that, the staking yield is about 10 to 12%. Okay, on average. It varies a little bit. So what we just went through with Vouch was we launched the phase 2, which was our token, the Vouch token. So this is the native token of the Vouch ecosystem, and that's the token that is the value capture token and the future governance token of the system. So if you hold that token, you get the benefit of any value that is derived in the system and value that's built up over time. And the governance side of it means you get to have a say in some of the switches and the settings that can be changed on the ecosystem. And over time, we think the community will want to get involved and say, oh, look, we think we should make this change because we're at this part of the cycle. Or so I think the governance side it'll be interesting to see the community interact with it. We're a little way away from having the governance side implemented. That'll be phase 3. And before we get to phase 3, you need the Vouch token to be out widely distributed and in the hands of a lot of people, so you've got a really strong community that can have good governance and vote on things in a resilient way. So we're not quite ready for that yet, but we're getting there. With the launch of the Vouch token, we also launched a few more smart contracts that we call the distribution layer. And really all the distribution layer does is just routes value around the system, just connects the Vouch token, so the new part of the system, into the existing part, which was the liquid staking. And what it does that we think is quite unique is we can take value from this, or revenue, so the pulse that's generated from the validators, we can inject that into the distribution layer as a form of revenue, so a revenue stream. And same with the token. The token generates fees from people buying and selling and transferring the token. So that those fees come into the distribution layer as a form of revenue as well. So that's probably pretty unique, where we take those two streams of revenue and then we can put them to work within the system. And the way we do that is we can use a portion of that yield to create more validators, which produce more yield from the blockchain, which turns into more revenue for the system, and we can keep doing that. So that's a nice, what we call a feedback loop, but it's nice because it's fresh revenue that's, the Pulse chain is going to produce it anyway. All we're doing is we're getting a share of that pulse that's getting produced by the blockchain, and we're capturing it in the ecosystem. So that when I talk about value capture, that's what I mean. So that external feed of pulse coming into the system, it builds up over time and it retains that value in the ecosystem. So as a vouch holder, that's the value that it's actually capturing. But it's beneficial for pulse stakers because we can generate more yield for them, and it's beneficial for the vouch token holders because they are the value capture side of it. How does the value capture work in a little bit more detail? When Vouch token was launched, all the tokens that will ever exist have been minted. So there will never be any more created. And from that point on, they go deflationary. And I think, I haven't checked the figures the last day or so, but last time I checked, it was nearly about 2% of the vouch supply has been burnt through our buy and burn mechanisms already. So a portion of the yield that's coming into here, or the revenue coming into here, I think we've got it set at like 50% currently. We made a change the other day. So 50% of the revenue coming in here is going out to burn the actual vouch token. So it's quite a lot of buy and burn pressure on the token.
That's awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah. So that's when you look at token dynamics, the two things that are important are supply and demand. So if you can take supply off the market, but introduce demand through the buy component of that sort of covers both sides of that equation. And we think over time that's going to be quite beneficial for the vouch token holders and consequently the stakers as well. And the other thing we do, and we've just enabled a new portion of this the other day, is we've got 3 tokens we deal with in the system. We've got the vouch token, we've got the liquid staking token, which is VPulse, and then we've got the native token, which is Pulse. And we can distribute those tokens out to various players in the ecosystem. And what we have been doing since the launch of the vouch token is we've been giving everyone the vouch token as a distribution. So if you just held the vouch token in your wallet, you would get more of it every day. On Friday, I believe it was, we enabled a new feature which also distributed the VPulse token as well. So now if you hold the vouch token in your wallet, you get more vouch token and you get more VPulse tokens. So it's quite it's like a dual reward that you get just for holding the token. And over time, we'll add more features for things like stakers and validators where we can distribute rewards out to those guys as well. But that's pretty much the ecosystem as it stands now. And what I think we've done is we've got the balance right between the vouch token holders and the liquid staking component, where if vouch does really well and we see a lot of volume on the vouch side, then these guys are the beneficiary of that in terms of a higher yield. But consequently, if we get more people coming in to get the higher yield, it means we fire up more validators, which means more revenue in here, more buy and burn, and more distribution for vouch holders. So we think we've got the interplay between both sides of the ecosystem worked out in terms of how we can flow things around. And over time, we may have to tweak. Yeah, and we may have to tweak the percentages, and that's where the governance side will come in, where everyone will get to vote on, okay, well, how much should go to buy and burn? How much should go to validators? How much should we send out to holders or stakers? So that's where it's going to be really cool to see the community get engaged with that and be able to vote on those sorts of things.
Yeah, sounds pretty good. So this is pretty much the dynamics and mechanics of the whole thing for VPulse and for Vouch, right? What about the tokenomics for Vouch and VPulse?
Well, I think that this does encompass both of those. So for Vouch, obviously the tokenomics, we've interlinked it all into this. So they're, as a standalone token, it was interesting, and we've seen a lot of tokens on PulseChain use the fees from take the buy and sell fees and do interesting things with it. Where we thought there was a real opportunity was tying it back into the liquid staking side and vice versa. So we've seen, we've had the liquid staking up and running for 10, 11 months, and that was pretty cool in its own right because it allows everyone to get their share of the PulseChain yields. But we think we can give it that little bit of X factor by tying it back into the vouch token mechanics and having them feed off of each other and grow the ecosystem over time. I think what we haven't seen happen on PulseChain yet is we haven't seen the value of the Pulse coin go through any big rise ups. That's right. It's sort of stayed within that range of what we call SAC price, so the starting price to where current price is now. We've sort of been in this little band, and we haven't seen a big jump out of that. That's going to be really interesting when we see something like that happen, because the dynamics of this system change a lot when that happens. You can imagine, Yeah, that's right. You can imagine if the value of this revenue you're earning starts going up, then in dollar terms, that means you're pushing more dollar value into the whole ecosystem, which generates more volume on this side. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that play out. So that's just the price of Pulse going up. And the other thing we haven't seen is, I believe we've been in a really quiet period in terms of on-chain activity. So how many people have been pushing the buttons in their wallets and moving funds around on the chain? I think we've probably seen, just recently, we've seen that sort of dip down a little bit with you go through quiet periods, and then all of a sudden there's a rush and something happens on chain, a new project launches, or price starts to go up and everyone's trying to bring money into the chain, and then everyone's transacting more on PulseChain, and that's where these validators will benefit, because the priority fees, so that fee that I mentioned the user pays to transact that we tip in here, they can go up quite quickly. So the amount of volume that's generated means a lot more revenue for the system. So we haven't seen anything like that happen since we've launched the Vouch token. So I want to see some of those interesting things happen. And that would be good for the whole chain.
Awesome. So do you have anything like more to share about Vouch, like in terms of is there any way to work around to have a cross collaboration with different people? There
is a lot going on in the background where I know of one or two things that they're specifically building tools to work with Vouch. And maybe that would be a good thing for a future stream, is coming on and having a look at a few of the things that have been built. A couple of them, they're very early days, so I don't want to sort of get too far ahead. Excuse me, and talk about them. But I know there's a few things coming that I'm interested in to see hit the market, but you just never know when that's going to happen. So rather than talk about things that may or may not sort of come in the next month or so, I'd rather let them hit the market, and then we can get back on and talk about those and show them. And but there is the one good thing about PulseChain is a lot of the teams in the background, they talk to each other and engage with each other, and we understand that if Vouch is really successful on PulseChain, that's good for PulseChain, and if internet money is really successful, that's good for PulseChain. So the more you got the Coast guys that have just fired up their I think it's like a balancer pool with all the stables in it. If they do really well, that's good for PulseChain. So we're all talking together, and where there's a chance to integrate with each other, everyone wants to do it, because they see if one is getting value, then it's exponential. It's like that whole Metcalfe's law thing that I've spoken about in the past, is that network effect just keeps building, and I think everyone should be rooting for every team to be successful.
Okay, awesome. So we will leave that to when the product is like matured, like completed, and then we talk about that.
That would be a good thing to come back on in a future stream, I think.
Absolutely. So, okay, I think we are coming to a closing soon. So to wrap it up, right? What is one piece of advice you would give to the audience, right? Anybody who is a non-coiners, or they are new to the space, whether they are new to PulseChain, not heard of PulseChain, have been here since launch. So, please share your
one bit of advice. I think sometimes it's difficult to buy into something when it's new, but that's when the opportunity is. And when things haven't, it's easy to buy something when it's gone through that meteoric success. And I think PulseChain is that opportunity where all the work's being done in the background, and all the foundations have been put there, and the community's crazy. Like the community is, they're super engaged. They're very much everything's done on chain. We don't sort of just buy coins and hold them in exchanges and things like that. Everyone's very, very much hands-on and interacting as blockchain should be used. And I think that's pretty special. I think there's a lot of communities that just don't have that. They may have users, but they're static users that may hold coins or tokens on an exchange. They don't actually get down to the level and start interacting on chain. Pulse has that, has a crazy community that is just super engaged with the chain. And I think that will pay off soon. And when we get fresh people coming in and we get the chance to teach them more about what PulseChain is, I think there's a massive upside opportunity there that people are probably, I think they're going to be a little bit blindsided by it. I think they'll wonder where we came from. They'll think it's just happened overnight, but they probably don't understand all the hard work that's gone into getting there. So yeah, my advice is engage now. At least learn what PulseChain's about, learn how to use it, get yourself a little position, and then you'll be ahead of the game for sure.
Yeah, be the early movers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, someone's got to do it. Like, it doesn't feel comfortable to be the early mover. It never does. Mm-hmm. But they're the ones
because that's when you face the biggest doubt, right? The biggest noise. Yeah.
Yep. It is always hard to be contrarian. The guys that were early in Bitcoin, they weren't getting high fives and backslaps and saying it's all going to work out. It was all, this is another crazy thing that's just going to go to zero. And there is still people saying that about Bitcoin now. It blows my mind that they still can't see the value in Bitcoin as a blockchain. So I think PulseChain is at that, dare I say it, that pre-viral moment.
I mean, given the entry right now for Pulse and the other core assets, right? I think people right now that learns about PulseChain is really lucky.
What they don't understand is all the people that have been around for, what is it? Geez, it's probably 4 years now that when was the sacrifice done? Was that 4 years ago? It would be
2021. Back in 2021, 2022.
So people coming in right at this very moment have the chance to get it at the same price as the people that have been around for 4 years.
That is the massive price.
That's right. That is a crazy opportunity. You haven't had to sit through all that time, that the doubt. You get to come in at a pretty sweet time now. So there's some good opportunity to be there.
Absolutely. All right. So lastly, I shout out to Jexxa. Thank you for sharing. So thank you, not only your journey, but also the vision behind Vouch, right? So what really stood out to me is that how PulseChain as a new Cycle 1 chain can avoid the mistake of Ethereum, right, during the early days. So I think it's really great to have Vouch right now, being such a completed product and still consistently growing and developing more and more upgrades and features. And yeah, to everyone watching, thank you to join our live stream today. So this is the very first episode, right? So down the road, if you guys like our live stream today, feel free to like and subscribe, and then we will continue and do more live stream in the upcoming days, right? So for my mission as AsianOnPulse, exactly the name, I want more Asian people to know about PulseChain, right? I want to onboard and let more people to learn about PulseChain and the cool builders among the ecosystem, not just to learn about investment opportunity, but also increasing your own knowledge about the space. So if you found value today, so don't just keep it to yourself and share this live stream, join the conversation and explore projects like Vouch. So it's VOUCH.RUN. So yeah, that's pretty much. Looking forward to the next one.
Thanks for having me on, mate. It's been awesome. If you're a streamer that needs more subscribers, you deserve them. The content that you're putting out, that I seen on Twitter for the first time the other day, it's high quality. You do a really good job with your production of it. I'm looking forward to seeing more of those videos. I think you deserve a lot more likes, a lot more subscribes. And yeah, I think it's good to promote the content you're doing because you're sending out a good message. So appreciate all your work that you're doing.
Yeah, we appreciate each other. So this is what PulseChain people does, right? We really appreciate the good builders, the people who are contributing in the good ways. Yeah, and we really need more revenue stream projects. That is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna you feel free to sign up. So we'll look you around Telegram.